Good evening, dear viewers of NTV and my dear students who are watching me. Welcome this program. Today's session, a live classroom of My Teacher. It's a live session. So if you have any sort of queries, definitely you can get back to us. You can see the mobile phone number and the SMS number on the screen. You feel free to get back to us in case of any doubts. Basically, today's session I'm planning to do something for grade 12 students who are seriously in the preparations for their board examinations. So I request the students from the grade 12 who are doing science stream, you can watch this program today for an hour. The next few minutes will be starting the session on this. Surely it is like, you know, if you know certain concepts, you must be thorough with by now, and certain concepts you are going to again prepare and making it more and more thorough, and practicing a lot of board questions and a lot of sample paper questions. You must be having a lot of materials with you. Go through them, and in case of any difficulties or doubts, if you have related to those questions, we can call us and say, this question I'm having difficulties, how to sort it out. So in case if it is not possible to be done today, we will take up this question the next week. So basically, it's your program, it's your classroom, feel free to ask. Right? And you know about this program, My Teacher, it's basically focusing those who are studying in the Indian curriculum schools. And my class is focusing on physics. Last week we had a session for grade 11. Today we are going to have a session for grade 12. As you know, every Saturday we are having a session on life skills by Mr. Sangeet Ibrahim. He is going to introduce some renowned personalities, and he will give you some tips how to go ahead with the examinations, some in general point of view. So fortunately, we are going to have the next week, next Saturday, the coming Saturday rather, we are going to have a very renowned personality in the field of education, and it's in fact a veteran in this field for more than 3 decades over here. So it is none other than our beloved principal of Sharjah Indian School, Mr. Radhakrishnan Nair. He will be joining us. You wait for a good talk with him the coming Saturday. So I'm giving you an advance notice for you not to miss the session. Today we will be discussing certain points related to the board examination, especially focusing the physics, subject physics. Because when you get into the exam hall, when you get the question paper, when you go through the questions, you know, when you come across different areas which you studied, sometimes there may be chances of going wrong, chances of getting confused. So now my focus is, or I'm going to explain a few points which you should be careful about or should be alert on in order not to make such mistakes, because you know, after coming out of the examination hall, there should not be any case of disappointment or desperate state that, oh, I didn't see that part, I was misled this way, that way, and all that kind of disappointment should not have any role. So should be avoided. You be little or very much rather careful, and to avoid certain mistakes, I'll give you some helpful hints. Okay, so now the materials that you are going to have, or that you have to focus now, are the previous year's question papers starting from 2013, then 2012, like that backwards you go through. Practice sample paper questions which are published on CBSE's website. Okay, and sometimes you may be, those who have not done seriously with the board papers and all, by now you may be going through that. So you may need to assess yourself where you are. So we'll give a provision for that. I'll tell you about the taking an examination at home. I'll give you about certain provision for that. In the second half, I'll tell you about that. Okay, now today's class, again I'm telling you, I'll focus on 2 areas. One is the helpful hints for avoiding confusions in your examination paper or when you answer the questions in physics. And second half, I will, so if time permits, we will be able to solve some questions which are relevant for the board examinations for physics. Right, these two parts we will move on to. First, let me tell you certain aspects about the contents of physics. You know, in the by the way, one more thing, let me remind you, those who are not able to watch this program today, you know, if parents are there, you may please record this so that you can show it to your son or your daughter, so that you can find out, you know, they will be able to make out what exactly can be the confusions. So common errors, let me tell you, common mistakes. First thing, you know, you will forget to put, when you draw ray diagrams, you will forget to put the arrow marks. Second thing, you will forget to put the polarities in circuit diagrams, right? Another common mistake, you know, when you calculate the effective resistance in parallel combination, which is a very common mistake I have been seeing in the answer sheets. Parallel combination of resistors, when you calculate, say 3 resistors given connected in parallel. So you will write 1 by R is equal to, the actual equation is 1 by R is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. That means you will calculate the reciprocal, sum of the reciprocals. But many of you will not or will forget to write the left hand side. That is, you will say, you will write the effective resistance is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3, like that will go. So what does it mean? Effective resistance is not equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. Then what is equal to 1 by the effective resistance? That is, reciprocal of the effective resistance is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3, like that. It means after calculating the sum of the reciprocals, at the end you will have to take the reciprocal of that. Then only you will get the actual answer, actual value of the effective resistance. So the same is what's happening in the series combination of capacitors as well. So in series combination of capacitors, parallel combination of resistors. Okay, in these two cases, calculations, there is chance of going wrong. So be very careful about the series parallel combinations. That's one area. Okay, so we have, you know, you can see some other points I'll tell you. You can see it. Okay, so some guidelines. See, certain points, let me tell you. The mistakes in the questions involving magnetic field and electric field. That is one thing. So many concepts are very similar in both the fields. So you can see potential energy is there, electric dipole, magnetic dipole, torque, Gauss theorem, flux, all these terms are related to both electric field and magnetic field. Okay, so both electric field and magnetic field, all these terms are relevant. So what you should do is, whenever you get the questions of this sort, electric field, magnetic field, so what you should do first is, you make sure, first that is the first thing you have to do, make sure is it related to electric field or is it related to magnetic field. Say for example, I will tell you, see if a question comes, derive an expression for the potential at a point on the axial line of an electric dipole. Axial line, it is given axial line. But by seeing the axial line, sometimes you may write as what? Electric field intensity. But the question is related to potential. So be very clear. When the question is asked, electric field, potential difference is there. You know, the equation for the electric field is kq by r squared for point charge and kq by r for a potential. Potential kq by r, electric field kq by r squared for a point charge. So like that, there are differences in the equations of potential and electric field. So be very clear. Whenever you come across the questions related to electric field, you make sure is it electric field or magnetic field first of all. Then what you should see, is it electric field intensity asked or electric potential. So let me tell you in this way, that is, whenever you see a question, first thing you read the question very carefully without any rush. So don't be hasty in reading the question. Say the moment you get the question paper, you know, for 12th grade students, you're getting some time for what you call as reading time. That's the time you can properly analyze the question paper. Don't be panicked, don't be tensed. You just see what all the usual questions, what are the questions asked, which all are the very familiar questions. You sort out those questions. And obviously certain questions will be there which you may not be familiar with. Surely there will be some questions, every year they're adding some or the other questions like that. So you can see the question carefully, and I'm sure those questions which you find as new would definitely be easy questions. Only thing is you may have to relate something which you studied with this question. So if you have some patience to go through the questions and make it out and related to, to find out related to which content, definitely you'll be able to solve it. So there is no doubt in that. Okay, so first you read the question, okay, you receive the question, go through all the questions carefully and make a note on which all questions you have to do first and which all to be done next. Like that you have to prioritize the questions, right? And definitely some questions where you need to think, think a bit. You should keep it in such a way that the time you have to squeeze out from the questions which you are well familiar with and finish it off fast and come back and think on these kind of questions, and do not leave any questions unattempted. And another thing is, when you see the question, sometimes in the first appearance you will find it as a very very familiar question. Many times, 10 times, 15 times I have done the same question in many examinations. So what you will do is you will jump into the answer. By seeing the question itself, you will jump into the answer very fast. But what's the problem with that? You will see that there may be some difference. Maybe the word note may be missing in that. So surely there are some questions which are modified from the usually asked questions in the board past papers or in the sample papers. So those questions you have to be very careful. If it is asked straight away like that, there can be some changes. There can be some modified format of the question. So maybe a word is missing. That itself will change the answer completely. So that is something which you have to be very careful about, because due to the excitement, I am seeing a question which are very familiar with it. So with me, so straight away writing the answer, that should not be the case, right? Okay, so electric field, magnetic field. Before that, one more thing: get the question paper, go through it carefully, and find out the subsections of each question as well. So within the 15 minutes time you are getting for as the reading time, utilize it perfectly, completely in a very useful way, and find out what exactly is your easy question and what is your difficult question. You sort it out. Clear? Now the next thing is, when you come across so one point I mentioned is about electric field, magnetic field. You have to identify that. Okay. Second similar confusion you may have is in optics chapter, ray optics. Ray optics questions when come, there again you have to be very, very careful. In optics, there may be questions related to lens or mirror. Okay, so very first thing you should look at is it related to lens or mirror? Because if it is lens, the equations are going to be changed, or lens or mirror. 1 by f is equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u for lens, and 1 by f is equal to 1 by u plus 1 by v for mirror. And even magnification equation as well. So the difference is there in the equation, right? Because in lens, magnification is v by u. The other one is minus v by u in mirror. Okay, so what you should first check is it related to lens or mirror? What's the second point? Second thing you'll have to check, is it convex or concave? Right, related to lens or mirror first you have to check, then convex or concave. Okay, so this is again after that only you should think of what kind of equation to be used and what are the sign conventions. Sign convention is another area where you may make mistakes. Always, in the case of sign convention, one point I want to mention at this point is, whenever virtual object comes, what is virtual object? If you refer one of the questions in the ray optics chapter, in the exercise it is given for CBSE textbook, the question is there, a light ray is converging to the point P. Okay, a lens is placed at a given distance, maybe 12 centimeter distance, a lens is kept. And if a convex lens is kept, convex lens of focal length, I think 20 centimeter focal length is kept, to where it will converge. you see, I'll draw that over here. See, the question is, a light rays converge to this point. This is the point P. Okay, and if I keep a lens here at distance maybe 12 centimeter distance, where will this ray converge, or what will be the new converging point? Okay, the converging point we have to think of. This was the original converging point. Okay, so what will be the new converging point? So what you will do is, see, if a lens is kept, this will be, you can draw dotted lines here. This was the original path. When the lens is kept, it will be converged further closer to this. That is, where is the new point of convergence? This P dash, this distance, you may find this distance. You take this as the object distance 12 centimeters. So this is an example of virtual object. You know, if P was the object, then this would have been the image. Okay, if this was an object, this would have been the virtual image. Okay, if this was the object, this would have been the virtual image. Therefore, if this is a real image, this would have been its virtual object. So in virtual object situation, you know, the object distance, when you measure like this, it is in the same direction as that of the light ray. So u is positive 12 centimeters. So just calculate, then rest calculation is simple. 1 by f is equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u. Positive 12 is the object distance, v is the question, and f is maybe 20 centimeter. You know, it's convex lens, so you write positive 20 centimeter. So this is the way you solve this question. So except the case of virtual object, everywhere else we are using u as negative. All right, u is negative always. So areas of confusion, sign convention, type of mirror, first mirror or lens. Okay, so in optics related questions, first what you should check if it is mirror or lens. Second, is it concave or convex? Accordingly we choose the equation. Is the point clear? All right. Now in electric field, magnetic field also, terms like magnetic flux. What's the unit of magnetic flux? Weber. And let me ask you one question. This is, I'm just giving a question as it is, just to think on those who are watching this class. One question I'll give you. Which physical quantity is measured by volt second? Volt second. Which physical quantity is unit it is, or which physical quantity is measured by the unit volt second? If you know the answer, you can call and say what the answer is, or you can send us by the SMS as well. Okay, just see. Right? What's the unit? Volt second. Which physical quantity it is? Right. Okay, let's come back to this. So in magnetic field, we have terms like torque. What's the equation? mb sin theta. Right? Potential energy minus mb cos theta. Work done mb into cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2. So these kind of equations are very much there in the case of electric field as well. So there again, like same equations, P sin theta for torque, minus P cos theta for potential energy, PE into cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2 for work done. So you just see, there are many similar terms in both electric and magnetic fields. Don't get confused there. Okay, so which is a very common mistake you make. That's why I'm telling you repeatedly, electric field, magnetic field. First you confirm what it is. Then only you think of, is it intensity or potential? Is it potential energy or torque? You know, so many terms are there. Okay, so don't get messed up with that. Let me tell you one thing. In the case of similar concepts there, you should be very, so these kind of topics, when you come across questions of these kind of topics, there you have to be very much careful. You should think yourself that I can make mistakes here, so I have to be doubly careful. Okay, so just make a note on what it is. Then only after 2-3 tries you should or 2-3 readings you should finalize about what is the answer or what's going to be the answer. Okay, then the ray diagrams, then about the calculations. That's another area which I have to tell you. There should be, in calculation, you see the case First of all, I mentioned about this one. Do not forget to draw neat diagrams wherever possible. Diagrams actually contribute a lot in the answers. So as far as possible, include a diagram. If it is specially mentioned in the question, draw and explain. So the diagram has got a special significance over there. It means it has a special weightage. Okay, so there in what you have to do is just the diagrams, when you draw, it should be properly labeled, and you take space and draw the diagram. I've seen some answers, you're writing like the description is there, and in the corner somewhere you're drawing a small diagram as if no one should see the diagram. Okay, so it should be drawn in such a way that is the answer you write like this, then do not draw the diagram in between. Just draw below that, you draw the diagram carefully with take sufficient space. There should be ample space over there to accommodate the diagram. Okay, and if it is like telescope, compound microscope and all, the diagram, you take the full page for drawing the diagram. Diagram, it has got a good weightage in such questions. So while drawing diagrams, what you have to first careful about is, if it is asked in the question, you have to be doubly careful in including all the minute details in the diagram. Label it and write. Okay, so that is one thing. Then about the calculations. When you calculate it again, so there are certain questions, most of the questions, as far as the CBSE exam is concerned, in most of the questions, the calculations you will not find that tough. There will be certain terms, you can simplify it very easily. Certain quantities would be given, usually like that. So there, then and there, you do the calculations and write the final answer. Do not forget to put the units. Okay, so another very common mistake, like I said about the series parallel combination of capacitor and resistor, series combination capacitors and parallel combination resistors. So there are situations where you can make mistakes. Even in the case of the power calculation also, remember the power is P1 plus P2. It appears to be a very simple concept, but you make mistakes. There are very common errors happening there. What you have to find from focal length. So for example, 20 centimeters is a focal length. If 20 centimeters is a focal length, what will be the power of the lens? Just divide that with 100 first. That is, you make it 0.2. Then what? Take the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal? 1 by 0.2. That is 10 by 2. That is 5. 5 diopter is the power. So that means over there, even in the calculations, if you are given two powers, one is converging, the other one is diverging, one is positive, the other one is negative, and the question is to calculate the effective focal length and what's the nature of the combination. In such a question, what you will do? Calculate the effective focal length. So first you find out the total powers. Total power, P is equal to P1 plus P2 use, calculate the power, but that power is in diopter. Take the reciprocal of that. If you take the reciprocal, you will get the focal length in meters. Then multiply by 100, you will get the value. That's another area. So conversion hazards, very much, it is a very dangerous thing. In fact, it may lead to problems, many problems, related to the same question itself. You may make mistakes continuously if there is no proper conversion done. Okay, so in the case of in the calculations of optics, in the chapter optics, throughout the quantities are related to distances. All distances you can take in centimeters, correct? Exception is the case of calculation of power. Power of a lens, when you calculate, the focal length must be in meters. I hope it is clear. Okay, so all the calculations you should show clearly. If it is to be worked out, draw it in a working column there. So neatly do it, and do not rub it off. Let it be there, but it should be neat. Like it should be drawn. It should be drawn in a separate column. You draw and do the calculations there. So beware of the conversion hazards. Beware of conversion hazards. It's a very common mistake. Do not forget to convert. So what's the thing to do is, like, say for example, the same question itself, sometimes the quantities are like in centimeters, millimeters, nanometers, or nanofarad. See one question about one question I'll tell you. It is in fact happened in the last year, in the last year board examination. There was a question. Dipole moment is given. Dipole moment of the electric dipole. Okay, so the value is given that something into 10, say maybe 5 into 10 raised to minus 3, given it is like it is written. Now the question was to calculate the work done. It was a simple question, to turn it from stable equilibrium to unstable equilibrium. Okay, in an electric field, maybe I'll tell you the electric field also. I'll give the value, maybe say 10 Newton per Coulomb. So what's the question? 10 Newton per Coulomb is the electric field in which a dipole is placed. Dipole of dipole moment is much kept. To turn it from stable equilibrium to unstable equilibrium, what's the amount of work done? That's the question. So I'm telling an example. So there, what you will do is, the equation we are going to use is P cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2. This is the equation. So P is there, E is there, cos theta 1 for the stable equilibrium theta is how much? 0. Unstable equilibrium theta is 180. Cos 0 is 1. Cos 180 is minus 1. So 1 minus 1, that is 2. So you will get 2 PE. Okay, but the problem, why I mentioned this question is, see, it is given dipole moment Cm, it is given. In fact, this letter was small letter c. What happened is, some came out of the exam halls and asked me, should we convert centimeter to meter? Okay, should we convert? Some of them converted, some of them did not. Those who did not convert got the marks. Now why it happened? Because look, it's not capital C, it is small c. It is supposed to be Coulomb meter, not centimeter. So you should apply some logic as well. That is, dipole moment, it is quantity is dipole moment. It is given clearly, dipole moment is this much. Dipole moment cannot be in centimeter, no, it should be Coulomb meter. Apply some logic as well. You got it? That is, there may be some. So that is what you have to be very, very careful about the units what is to be used. Okay, so it is Coulomb meter, not, it's supposed to be capital C, but be clear, dipole moment cannot be in centimeter, it should be Coulomb meter only. You may say that there is a printing error or something, but see, the logical thinking as well required when you do the exam. Okay, so the electric dipole calculations, you have to be, not only electric dipole calculation, in any case, wherever, say, for example, nano Coulomb comes, nano means 10 to the power minus 9. Okay, so that conversion, the prefix, corresponding values, you should learn carefully, okay, thoroughly, you should have a very clear picture. So better, all the cases, you convert all the quantities into the respective SI units, and the final answer also you should write. So whenever you do numerical problems, write put the units properly, do the calculations, at the end you write the answer in the proper unit. You do not forget to write the unit at the end. And what else you should do? After finishing the answer, you should get back to the question again and check, is it really according to the question, have you done it or not? You got it? So that is, there may be many things you could find. Sometimes I will tell you another area of confusion, or another chance of going confused or making mistakes. Usually in numerical problems they will give you question 1 to calculate this one, 2 to calculate the second thing. So there may be questions like that. But sometimes it may not be given as 1 and 2. It will give like, calculate magnitude and direction. Magnitude and direction. So it is separated as and only. That is, you may just calculate the magnitude and go to the next question. You will forget to put the direction, write about the direction. So sometimes it may not be clearly given as 1, 2 questions like that. It may be this and that. So make sure after finishing the answer, you go to the question again and see you have completed all the necessary segments of the same question. Then only you leave the question and go to the next one. Is it clear? Okay. So now you see the combination diagrams. So these 2 points again you have to see. Draw the equivalent combination diagrams for the capacitors and resistors. That is, whenever the questions relate to capacitors, and even learn the combinations of what all combinations we have: lens, resistors, capacitors, and cells. See, these 4 different types of combinations we learn in this chapter, so in subject physics in 12th standard. You see, first of all, when you are asked to find out the effective value or equivalent value maybe of resistance or of capacitance or of EMF, whatever it is, you draw the equivalent diagrams. Maybe after replacing two resistors, you draw it with a single resistor or single capacitor, like that. So what all combinations you learn? Combination of lenses, correct? That's which equation? 1 by f is equal to 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2. Then combination of resistors, it's both series and parallel. Then next we have combination of cells. Combination of cells also we have series and parallel there, but we have equations for equivalent EMF, equivalent internal resistance, then learn that as well. And again equivalent capacitance, series and parallel. These are the combinations: capacitor, resistor, lens, and what else? Cells. Okay, these are combinations we have to learn. Okay. Now let me ask you one question or one point. Sometimes just see, have you done the derivation of the period of oscillations of a dipole, magnetic dipole placed in a uniform magnetic field? You check. If it is not done, you do it. You know which equation I'm talking about? This equation, T is equal to 2 pi square root of I by MB. This equation. Okay, time period, its reciprocal is frequency. So if you see, if you haven't, those who haven't learned the derivation of the time period of oscillations of a magnetic dipole in a uniform magnetic field, learn that also, because I've observed that some of you missed it out. It comes in the chapter magnetism. Even in magnetism, another one is there, like the dipole moment of a revolving electron. There again I have observed a very common mistake. See, whenever a charged particle enters a uniform magnetic field, it will move in a circular path. There which equation is relevant? mv squared by r is equal to qvb. Correct? mv squared by r is equal to qvb is the equation we use there. But another question, see what I am telling you is very similar concept is coming, so that you may jump into the mistake very fast. No, what I said is a charged particle entering a uniform magnetic field moves in a circular path. There we have calculations of radius of like proton, neutron. You have seen the questions like that. But another question is there: an electron is moving around the nucleus. How much magnetic field it produces at the center? Its velocity is given, radius is there. An electron moving at a given velocity in an orbit of radius, orbital radius given, orbital velocity is given. What you are going to find is calculate the magnetic field produced at the center. How do you do it? So that is just by seeing the electron revolving around, you may think that it is mv squared by r is equal to qvb. Many may make mistakes there. What exactly it is? When an electron is revolving around, you can say revolving electron can be considered as a current. Okay, movement of electron, it's a current. If there is a current, that means orbit can be considered as a current loop. Circular loop carrying current. What's the equation for magnetic field? B is equal to mu 0 I by 2 into radius. This is the equation for the magnetic field. So current, radius, correct? So radius of the orbit is given. Now what do you need? Current. But current, how do you find? Current is charge by time. That's the equation for current. Charge you can find how? Charge, if you take the charge of electron as the charge, 1 electron, no? So how much will be the time? Time is time for 1 revolution. But time for 1 revolution, even you can write as C E by time is 2 pi r divided by v, because velocity is distance by velocity. You see, distance by velocity is time. So 2 pi r, radius is there, velocity is there. See this radius, same. So find out current using this equation and substitute in this and calculate the magnetic field in the center into the revolution of electron. Is that point clear? Okay. Now I'll tell you more points and we'll discuss more questions. Some questions as and when we get some time, we'll be able to discuss more questions. And now we are going for a short break. After the break, we'll come back and discuss more on your board examination. So stay tuned.
ഹായ്,
എന്താ ലേറ്റായേ?
നിനക്ക് വേണ്ടി.
വൗ, ഇതെവിടുന്നാ?
സൗത്ത് ആഫ്രിക്ക. അവിടെ ലോകത്തെ ഏറ്റവും മികച്ച വജ്രഖനിയിൽ നിന്ന് നിനക്ക് വേണ്ടി ഞാൻ അടർത്തിയെടുത്ത അപൂർവ രത്നം. അതുമായി കട്ടിങ്ങിൽ ലോകം അംഗീകരിച്ച് ബെൽജിയത്തിലേക്ക്. പെർഫെക്റ്റ് കട്ടിങ്ങുമായി ഡിസൈൻ പാരഡൈസ് എന്ന് ലോകം പുകഴ്ത്തുന്ന ഹോങ്കോങ്ങിലേക്ക്. പിന്നെ ഏറ്റവും ലേറ്റസ്റ്റ് പ്രീമിയം ഡയമണ്ട് ജുവലറിയുമായി എന്റെ പ്രിയതമയുടെ ഹൃദയത്തിലേക്ക്.
എന്നാലും എന്റെ മനസ്സ്
പറയും, നിന്റെ മനസ്സ് പറയും. ജോയ ലൂക്കാസ്. സൗത്ത് ആഫ്രിക്കൻ ഡയമണ്ടും ബെൽജിയം കട്ടിങ്ങും ഹോങ്കോങ് ഡിസൈനും ഒത്തുചേരുമ്പോൾ മനസ്സ് പറയും ജോയ ലൂക്കാസ്.
Joya Lucas, world's favorite jeweler. അഴകും പരിശുദ്ധിയും പറഞ്ഞാൽ പോരാ, അനുഭവിച്ചറിയണം. സൈബ ജ്വല്ലറി, ദുബായ്, ഖത്താർ.
നിങ്ങളുടെ ആരോഗ്യപരമായ സംശയങ്ങൾക്കുള്ള മറുപടിയുമായി യുവർ ഡോക്ടർ എല്ലാ ഞായറാഴ്ചയും രാത്രി 8 മുതൽ 9 വരെ മറക്കാതെ കാണും.
Brought to you by NMC Healthcare.
Variety collections of gold, diamond, platinum, precious stones, pearls and branded watches. Exclusive Belgium cut diamond jewelry. Regie Jewelry. Branches Goldland Daira Gold Souk, Dubai Festival City, New Gold Souk Center, Bardubai, Al Khalid Shopping Center, Bardubai. For more details, call 04398 5535. Alfoods, Harish Iyer, Sayonara. In live music concert, Sargolsavam at Al Nasser Leisureland, Dubai on 21st February 2014, 7 p.m. onwards. Sargolsavam. UAE Exchange, world's trusted money transferer.
Welcome back to the live classroom, My Teacher. So we are before the break we were talking about the board exam point of view concepts related to the physics portions. I have mentioned about certain areas which are required for you to look into to avoid mistakes. So one thing let me tell you, when you plan your preparations in the coming days, you have to see what all contents you have more weightage in the syllabus. In the syllabus which have, for example, optics. In CBSE pattern, optics has got maximum weightage, 14 marks portions. So see the weightage, see the amount of portions, see the difficulty level. Say for example, if you are very much good in the chapters like communication systems, semiconducting devices and all, you finish off that fast. Right? So you prioritize your preparations in such a way that more you grab, more according to the weightage in the syllabus, more you grab within a short span of time. So when you plan your studies, look at the syllabus contents and see what all weightage for each unit. Is it clear? Then another thing is, like some areas you may find it as very volatile topics we call it. That is, you keep forgetting the things very fast. In such cases, say for example, say certain derivations or certain types of questions, you keep forgetting. So that you have experienced from the examinations you have attempted already in the schools. So find out what all the volatile contents and list out these are the areas where I keep forgetting. So just make a note on, and just before the examination hall also, just before getting into the examination hall also, the last moment's preparation, you do that again. Just revise it fast before you get into it. So you should know what all concepts you keep forgetting. Maybe certain diagrams, all right? Just make a list. By now, you must be able to do it. And just before there is the last moment's preparation, you keep that also with you. Revise it properly. And when you get into the examination hall, when you get the question paper, you see that question there or not, or is there any questions related to what you titled as volatile topics. If it is there or not, you find out. If it is there, what you will do? Just finish off answering such questions first itself. Okay, so that is the first thing. Like, find questions related to such topics in the question paper and attempt them first itself. And also, it is important to avoid unnecessary discussions about, have you prepared this one? Oh, I didn't prepare. Oh, I forgot to do that. These kind of discussions will definitely lead to a poor mental condition, so that you will be more stressed only. It will not help in any way. So before getting to the examination hall, definitely there should not be any sort of unnecessary discussions or unhealthy discussions. So keep revising what all things already have done. That's the only focus you have to give, and no discussion at all. All right, it's just before getting the hall. And again, again another aspect I want to tell you is a single question. When you read the question, sometimes it may be you may find that question as little difficult. So don't stick on to that question for a long time. Okay, so because that will definitely cause wasting your time. So if at all you are finding that a little difficult, so you should go to the next question, but don't forget to do that towards the end. Okay, so what I'm telling you is, do not stick onto a single question for a long time. And again, one more thing is that whenever you write the answers, you see, say for example, a question asked is related to meter bridge. So everything related to meter bridge may not be required. The question may be specific, or it should be specific. That is, the question will be, okay, draw the diagram of the meter bridge. So just diagram only. Or how will you determine the specific resistance? So you have to describe about the determination of specific resistance. It's not like then you don't need to draw the Wheatstone's diagram, all those things you don't need. So just according to what is asked in the question, you should present your answers. And obviously you should look at the weightage of the question as well. Say a question how to answer for 1 mark and how to answer for 2 marks, that's different. Say for example, I'll tell you an example question. Suppose if the question is, what is the reason for coloration of thin films? Thin liquid films, what's the reason for coloration? Why colors? You might have seen the beautiful colors in the soap bubbles and all. What's the reason for that? So if the question comes like that, if it is for 1 mark, what you will write? It is due to the interference of light. You may say it is due to the interference of light reflected from the top and bottom surface of the liquid film. That's the end of the answer, if it is 1 mark. If it is for 2 marks, what you will write? You will have to draw the diagram and write about the path difference and all description you will require. So depending upon how many marks it is asked for, you should be able to stretch your answers, or you should be able to shrink your answers. Okay, so for 1 mark question, you don't, I've seen like for 1 mark question, so many steps you're writing, so that is very, it will lead to big loss of time, so that you will find it difficult to finish off your paper in time. So 1 mark questions should be very brief, okay, just to the point. Another thing is the question asked is in what way the question is asked. For example, say write the expression for the magnetic field at a point on the axial line of a circular loop carrying current. If it is asked like that, what you will write is just equation only. But whenever you write equation, you should explain what these symbols represent. Do not forget. You do not forget to write the symbols or explain about the symbols used in the equation. Is that clear? So write the expression. But if it is obtain the equation only, you need to derive. Okay, no derivation otherwise. So that's why I'm telling you. And I say one more thing, like in Kirchhoff's law, one question is there. In Kirchhoff's laws, there was a question like the circuit diagram is given, and you are asked to write down the equations which are useful to calculate currents in the circuit. So the loop rule and all you make use of, and frame 3 equations. There what's not required is you don't need to solve and show. You don't need to find the final answer. Okay, you just write the equations only, then you will get the marks. Is that clear? So that means by doing more, you are unnecessarily losing time. Okay, it's not required according to the question. Correct? And to the 5-mark questions, when you say it is again the last descriptive type of questions, it again consumes time, and the time there again you have to save your time, but it is better, always advisable to do it at the beginning itself, the descriptive type questions very fast. Okay, because you will not be able to shrink your answers over there. Okay, there are certain points which you have to mention there. Right, and what else is like the highlighting the points, underlining the points, all these are required for the descriptive type of questions as well. Okay, and read the question carefully before you take the direction in which you could go. That's one thing which I last session also I mentioned the same thing. When you read a question, you are in a point of taking a decision. If you decide wrongly, the whole thing is gone. So the point of time when you read the question, that's the time you have to be very, very, very careful. Okay, so that time if you are careful, you will look into the exact direction you are supposed to look into. Alright, then if you walk, you will reach the place where you are supposed to go. So execution should be done very fast, but analysis and making out in what way to go should be done very carefully. Do not take any wrong steps. Okay, that will lead to a big loss. That's what. The seriousness of the final examination is that you are based on this we are going to get admissions in professional colleges and all. There are lots of, you might have heard this one from your parents, teachers and all. That is why we are giving this much of focus. Alright, each minute thing will affect a lot. You are competing with thousands and thousands back in India as well. So the competition is very, very, it is very tight. Okay, you are moving back by 1 mark. There are many thousands going ahead of you. So that kind of a spirit you should have. All right, that's why we have to be because. And another thing is that in our in our examination system, in the 3 hours time, whatever you are presenting in the answer, that is what is going to decide how much you are going to get. It's not like I was doing this much, I was wonderfully performing. That's not nothing. You cannot say anything of that sort. Whatever you present in the 3 hours in the answer sheet, that's what is counting the whole thing. That's the reason why we are very much saying about the need for avoiding mistakes. Okay, should not depend on anything after coming back from the examination hall. Then what else I want to tell you is about the analysis, the including diagrams, equations. Okay, whenever you answer application level questions, that's the next thing. You can have a look at what is there on the screen. Whenever you answer application level questions, in the screen what is displayed, the first point already I mentioned. Application level questions, when you answer, it can be based on a diagram or based on an equation. So relevant diagram or relevant equation you can include in the application level questions. It always will help you out. Is it clear? Okay. So now what else is, see some top scorers answers you can see from the websites. I have mentioned some the names of some websites here. Okay, so from these websites you must be familiar with the first two anyway. The third one is another website from where you will be able to get it. So now I want to tell you some more thing before we go to some questions. See, we will, that is NTV, the program My Teacher. Through this, we are going to give a provision for that. This is the case I told you at the beginning. I mentioned about this only at the beginning. We are giving a provision for you doing 12th standard to write an examination at home. So only thing you have to do is, you go to the website ntvuae.com, and there is a link given in the website. You click onto that link, and that will lead to a website through which you would be able to take test papers at home. There are certain provisions given. You just, all the details are given carefully, clearly in the site, so you make use of that as well. So that's about the examination, and we will today we didn't get time to discuss the questions. Anyway, if anything is there to communicate, anything related to anything, if you want to communicate to us, you write to us, and if you have anything to be sorted out related to physics, next week we will take it up. So as I mentioned, next Tuesday again we will have physics, and Saturday we have a special session. Our principal is going to come for the session. That is one thing. It's a happy note, and with that note, and wishing you all the best, hoping to meet again next week. I'm winding off this show, and I would like to inform you about the taking test at home provision as well. Make use of that. If any confusions in this matter as well, you can get back to me. Okay, so we will see you again next week. Stay tuned with NTV. See you again.